Number one, the Helltides have been reworked, so they have significantly higher monster density. They also start all the way at the beginning world tier, so because of this, you can do them literally from the start of the game, and also they've previously been reworked to be up all of the time with except just 5-minute gaps. So for that reason, they have more mob density, they're faster to level, you can access them earlier, and they're up all the time. Because of all these reasons, Helltides are now actually arguably the best way to level in all of Diablo 4 while you're actually acquiring those boss materials, etc. through the leveling process. So it double dips in efficiency. You probably just want to skip the campaign and farm the Helltides. Tip number 2, all unique items in the game that are not uber unique items now are going to drop in world tier 3 or higher, meaning it is more important than it ever has been to rush to world tier 3, so that while you're completing your leveling process, perhaps in the Helltide that we just mentioned, you have the opportunity to acquire some of those build defining uniques you're going to need for your in-game build. On top of it, do not forget, unique items are now the only items in the game that actually have 4 base affixes. As legendaries, now their base affixes are 3, and you can add 2 more on for tempering. You can also have greater affixes onto unique items and can masterwork them. So while unique items maybe not have 5 total affixes like legendary items can have after tempering, they're still going to be pretty strong because they have 4 base, can have multiple greater affixes on those 4 base, and then also can be masterworked while also dropping earlier in the game. Tip number 3 is to utilize trading. If you're somebody who does not prefer the solo experience, trading in this game is going to be better than any of the previous seasons. Unique items can now be traded. Legendary items can be traded. Any item in the game basically that has not been tempered or masterworked can now be traded as long as it's not being uber unique, as those are the only items that cannot be traded. For that reason, if you get a drop that's either valuable maybe for a build that's not the one you're using, or if you need to acquire an item, don't forget to buy or sell your items as they now have a use. You can also trade boss materials in the game, meaning if you're going to farm for those uber unique non-tradable items, you can use the gold you got from selling some of the items you've acquired, including the unique items you can see here, and then buy those boss materials for the gold you have. Gold will be needed in Season 4 because masterworking is going to take a significant amount of gold to accomplish. For all these reasons, trading is going to be better in Season 4. Tip number 4, Blizzard has changed the way in Season 4 that armor works. There's now a maximum physical damage reduction of 85%, and this is capped at 9,230 armor. Because there's an aspect in the game called Juggernaut's Aspect that will give you more armor at max level than you even need to hit the cap. You now can, with just one aspect, max out all of the armor your character will need. After that, you just have to worry about the other defensive layers like resistances, barrier, and fortify, for instance. So with just this one aspect, you'll never have to worry about armor again. Tip number 6, craft any uber unique you want, regardless of which uber unique you got as a drop. Let me explain it to you. So for instance, this Iron Wolves theme, this is a reputational system. One of the rewards for doing this in Season 4 is going to be getting a Resplendent Spark. You get a second Resplendent Spark from killing Tormented Echoes, the new higher tier of the boss, and you get a third Resplendent Spark from killing Lilith herself. This means that's 3 sparks. You get that, plus you get a uber unique drop from killing any of the other uber bosses continually until that happens. Yes, you will still be gated by the RNG of requiring 1 uber unique. You salvage that you get, that gives you 4 total sparks. You can now craft with those 4 total sparks an uber unique of your choosing. So because of this, as long as you get a singular uber unique drop, you can turn it into any uber unique in the game that you actually want. Tip number 7, use a leveling build when you're starting out. This will make it easier for you to level as you're progressing through the game. You can find one of these on maxroll.gg, for instance. You compare this with the fact that once you've leveled with the leveling build, you can use one of the scrolls of amnesia you're going to get during the seasonal journey, which allows you to reset all of your skill trees, paragon boards, etc. for free, and then swap to an in-game build with the items that you have acquired. Now, if you remember from one of the previous tips, all the uniques drop from World Tier 3 going forward. So by the time you hit the level 100 and you finish the leveling process, you have a much higher chance now to have everything you need stored within that new codex, which is a new quality of life where you can store all your new aspects within the codex, even your highest power aspects you find throughout the game, and you have a much higher chance to have the unique items, etc. you need. Then you can switch to your in-game variety of the build. Now, you don't have to do this. If you're somebody who just wants to learn your in-game build from stage 1, feel free to do it. I totally understand that logic, but this will just save you some time if you're someone who's limited on time, you want to level faster, and then swap to another build. So this is more of an efficiency thing that's not required to do. Tip number 8, legendary and unique items that you do not pick up will go back to your stash anyway. This has a cap of 10, but in Season 4, they have reduced the amount of drops that are legendary and unique that we're actually going to be receiving. For this reason, it is harder to fill up this cap, meaning if you don't want to stop and just pick up gear all the time, and we already know that 925 gear is guaranteed at level 95 plus, meaning you don't have to sit there and identify the legendaries as much anyway. You can just go through a dungeon, go back to town after it, see what items actually dropped, look at them at that point, and save yourself some time of constantly stopping throughout the dungeon all of the time. Tip number 9, this is an oldie but goodie. If you look at your equipment and it looks like this, it just shows you the stats, go to options. After that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to gameplay, advanced tooltip compare, and advanced tooltip information, and turn these on. Go back and look at your items. It's now going to show you the role that this item is. This will allow you to know if your item rolled very well with its affixes or fairly poorly. This is even more important in Season 4 because you're only going to have 3 base affixes, and so you're going to want to know what that roll looks like. Of course, you're looking for greater affixes that are going to be 150% of the max row anyway, but until you get those, this is going to be important. It also lets you compare with advanced comparison as well. Holding shift, it will show you the plus or minus that will acquire if you actually change your equipment pieces between the two you're comparing. This will very quickly help you know which piece of gear is better. Tip number 10, the boss ladder has changed since the PTR. It used to be you would need 5x of the resources to summon one of the tormented level 200 versions of any of the bosses from the boss ladder. Now it's only you need 3x of the material, but it still rewards 5x of the boss drops, meaning it is much more efficient to use the 3x version summon to get a 5x payout. For this reason, you might want to save your boss materials until you're strong enough to actually take on these level 200 variants of the boss if you just want to be as efficient as possible with your materials. That's it. Consider subscribing if any of these tips helped, and you can catch me live with the links down below. Have a wonderful day.